Hi guys, I'm Tara and I am in Health Fitness today talking to you about stretches for better posture. When you stretch, you're trying to increase your soft tissues of muscles and tendons. The more that we stretch them, the more they are able to kind of lengthen and able to hold that position. However, most of the time your stretching is neurological. So if you only stretch once a week, you only have a very small window of how those soft tissues are going to stay lengthened. So you actually have to stretch numerous times through the week to increase the neurological stance of how we hold that position. There are two terms I'd like you to understand first: plasticity and elasticity. Elasticity is just like your rubber band, right? We're able to stretch it, but it bounces back to its shape, okay? Our muscles and tendons have that. Plasticity is the ability to hold that stretch without it reversing backwards. So that's why we have to have that lengthening multiple times throughout the week so you have a better plastic elongation of the muscles and tendons. You're probably going to find that not everyone is the same, right? Some of you feel more stiff in different areas versus another, and there's many different factors of why that happens. Number one, we're looking at a person's age. If you think about a baby, right, they can hold their feet, put them in their mouth, waller around, it's totally fine. They don't have a ton of plasticity because they're mostly collagen. They're very, very soft and pliable. But as we get older, that collagen tends to stiffen, and we can even lose some of it over time. You might find that joint structure is probably not one that you think about, but you should. While we all have the same bones and relatively the same shape, sometimes the sizes of their bones are a little bit different. So if you think about your hip, right, everyone has a ball and socket joint. Sometimes the ball of your femur tends to be a little bit bigger or closer into the joint, meaning when you go to move, you're going to hit bone on bone. Some people might have a smaller ball of that femur and it's placed out further, so when you move, you can go at a bigger angle up and down. Our body temperature has a lot to do with how well we move, so that's why warm-ups are so important. The warmer your muscles are, the more longer and lengthened they can be. Think of silly putty, right? When you take it out of an egg and you try to stretch it, it's going to break in half. But if you warm it in your hands over and over again, and then it will stretch and lengthen as much as you possibly want. Gender obviously is another big one. I'm sure you've heard that women tend to be a little bit more flexible than men. Has a little bit to do with your estrogen. So estrogen allows for you to have more elongation in your muscles because of collagen. Injuries, obviously, the more injured you become, the more scar tissue you build, which becomes very stiff in that specific joint. Sometimes people just have better genetics. I know people who can literally go right into a split and they don't have to take a warm-up, okay? Other people, it might take months for you to be able to go into the splits. And lastly, what kind of active lifestyle do you currently have? If you're someone who doesn't move a ton, you're going to become more stiff. You have synovial fluid in your joints, and it acts kind of like an oil. The more you move, the more it lubricates the joint inside. So if you don't, you're going to be like a tin man, and you're going to get stuck, and you need to move around a little bit. So let's talk about some exercises and stretches that you can do to have a better posture. All right, so we're going to start with going from the top of the head, working our way down towards the bottom of their feet, and your first one are going to be traps. So oftentimes through our neck and onto the top of our shoulder, it gets very tight and stiff, which might make our head not able to turn well, going up and down. And this is going to have a little bit more of a forward head tilt. So if you're texting often, this tends to get into the neck a little bit more. So a very easy stretch is to take a resistance band of some sort, place it around the foot, reach down as far as you possibly can towards that foot, and then you're going to stand up and let the arm pull down and then gently lean the head in the opposite direction. So now we're working from the neck all the way down to the top of the shoulder, and I would hold it for maybe about 10 to 15 seconds, breathing gently through it, and then switching to the other side. If you're at a computer all day, you might be hunched over that desk, and all of a sudden you've got rounded shoulders. So we need to open the chest up so that way we can have a better posture. The corner stretch is by far one of my favorites to do. So find an open corner that is free of any obstruction. You're going to go right into the corner, lunge into it when you place both forearms up into the wall, palms flat, and then push inward until you begin to feel a stretch across the chest and front of the shoulders. Working your way down to the floor, the next one is a very common yoga pose called cat and cow. Think of you arching your back up to the sky and then also down to the floor so that we can stretch the muscles along our spine. So get into an all fours position, hands under shoulders, knees under your hips, keeping your arms long as if you're trying to press the floor away from you. Starting with an exhale, you'll round your back up, let your head drop down. Sometimes you can even squeeze in through the abdominals. And then when you inhale, drop the belly, lift up through the chest looking forward. So exhale, round to cat. Inhale to cow. Repeating this maybe 10 times. Next up, we're going to work our hamstrings, which are always generally tight among most people. The problem about the hamstring is that they kind of interlace up through our lower back, so you're going to get a twofer here. The first thing we're going to do is grab yourself a strap of any kind. It could be a belt, it could be a towel, you name it. And you're going to place it around the feet. This is just lengthening the arms so that way you can have better posture in the actual position. Think about being really tall. Keep your chin slightly tucked in line with the body, and then gently lift up out of your hips to fold forward until we begin to feel the stretch on the back side of those legs. Breathe through. Hold it again for about maybe 10 to 15 seconds, and release. Next is we're going to do a pose called thread the needle. This is a great one for opening up your scap, which is on the back side of your shoulder, to lengthen across the spine as well. Get into an all fours position. If you'd like to flow it, you can. I'll show you how to do that, but we'll just start first with the static pose. Taking whichever arm you want to start with, we'll go through the open space underneath the arm. Allow yourself to drop all the way down to the floor, head and shoulders. If you cannot do that, we can bring a block and put it underneath of your head for support. Now, we just simply stay and hold. You're going to keep the left hand where it's at, or you can push it out in front onto your fingertips and even push down deeper to open that chest to make it a little bit more. When you're ready, pull it back in and come back up to table. Now, if you'd like to flow, we're going to add a trunk rotation to it. So you would simply rise up with that same arm to the sky and then exhale back down. Rise back up on the inhale and then exhale back down. Again, repeating maybe 10 times. I'm sure you've always felt like your hips, specifically in the very front of them, have felt very tight. We're going to stretch your hip flexors doing a kneeling hip flexor position. So get into a lunge stance. Ideally, we're aiming for knee and hip on the back to be aligned and ankle and knee aligned as well. Okay? If you need a little bit of knee cushion, just fold your mat over to give you more support, and that helps too. Okay? Now, to stretch the leg that is down, we need to push into that hip and open and extend it a little bit more. It's a couple different options. So the first one is just to simply push forward gently, squeezing your left glute, pushing through the knee toward the toe. You might feel a stretch already. That's great. Hold it. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, the same leg that's down is the same arm that goes up to the sky. You're going to lean to the opposite direction. If that's enough of a stretch, stay here and just hold it. And if you want to go a little bit further, lean slightly back. Make sure we breathe through this, guys. No holding your breath. And when you're ready, come out of it and do the other leg. Next are going to be your quads. Again, remember, they're going to be attached to the hips, so we want to just keep traveling downward and make sure that they are lengthened just as well. Standing quad stretch is a very easy one and common one to do. So if you need balance support, find yourself against a wall or a chair. Okay? You have the option of using the same hand, reaching back either on the inside of the foot or on the outside. It's your preference. But the real reason that we do this is because I want to have hip extension. Most people just drive that heel straight into your glute, and that doesn't always work well. I want you to think about extending back a little bit, which is also going to help with the hip flexors too. So if you need that little extra stretch up top, this is perfect. Now, not everyone can grab the ankle. That's totally okay. Take that belt that you used earlier, wrap it around the ankle, reach down as far as you need to, and now you have support and able to get the stretch. And as it lengthens, you can begin to draw it up a little bit higher to you. So I know stretching is not that fun, right? And sometimes we are often missing it in our workouts because we just don't have the time. But I hope that you can start taking the time and doing some of these stretches that I've just shown you at least a few times a week. Taking 10 to 15 minutes, maybe when you're at home and you're watching TV, and just sit on the floor and do these things. If you'd like to learn more about stretching, come see us at Health Fitness. We have yoga classes, we have mobility classes, and of course all of our trainers should know how to stretch. So we'll see you next time. Bye.